Hi guys, how are we all? Welcome to AFC Game by Game. Today I'm going to be previewing our game tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock at Vicarage Road against Watford. But before I get into that, has to be said, it's been quite an exciting few days to be an Arsenal fan. First of all, the Champions League draw yesterday evening where we've drawn Paris Saint-Germain, Ludogorets and Basel in our group stage, which is, in my opinion, a very, very winnable group. I'm excited for the Champions League to commence in September. I'm looking forward to playing Ludogorets, a team that I think we can get 6 points of. We should be beating them home and away. Basel, I would expect us to beat them at home, maybe get a draw away. Paris Saint-Germain, I think they're a very good team, but certainly not a side that are essentially better than us. I think we can beat this PSG team at home. I think we might struggle against them away, but I'm expecting a minimum of 10 points in this group, and I want to see us top it heading into the last 16 of the Champions League. That's what we've missed over the past couple of seasons, and topping the group will make all the difference, in my opinion, if we are to have a healthy European run. But aside from that, the more exciting news, which really did appeal to me yesterday, was David Ornstein confirming that Arsenal are close to completing the signing of Mustafi and Lucas Perez. Now, Mustafi is someone that we've been linked to practically for the last month, a player that is very much needed in this Arsenal team. He's not quite that world-class centre-half that we are after, but he's a very good centre-half. And when you're talking about world-class centre-backs, you look around the league and you think, how many world-class centre-backs are there, essentially? John Stones moving to Man City for 45 million. Is he world-class? Not really, in my opinion. Vincent Kompany, is he world-class? Well, he's always injured nowadays. I mean, John Terry in his prime was certainly world-class. Koscielny, you look at him and you say he's world-class. Eric Bailly, a very good signing for Manchester United. Is he world-class just yet? No, in my opinion, these players aren't world-class. So Mustafi, to come in and not label him as world-class and just to presume that he's not going to be good enough because of that is a very ludicrous decision to make. Of course, it does all depend how he works alongside Koscielny, whether this defensive unit has a lot of chemistry to it. I would expect them to work together because he's an upgrade on what we've already got. So we've gone from having a rather shaky and inconsistent defence to having a very, very stable one, in my opinion, if those players can work as a unit. You look at that back five of Petr Cech, Bellerin, Monreal, Mustafi and Koscielny, and you've got to say it looks on paper like one of the best in the league. Of course, we can't judge it too early. It all depends on how they perform together. But to have options such as Gabriel, Mertesacker, Rob Holding in reserve, very exciting backline that we've got there. One thing that it does spark is rumours about Callum Chambers' future at Arsenal. And in my opinion, if we are to secure this Mustafi deal in the coming days, then Callum Chambers has to be looking for a way out the exit door because if I'm being very humble, I don't think he's good enough to play for Arsenal this season. He's 21 years of age, so I would say up until 23, he's probably got time on his side. But any longer than that, then I wouldn't particularly want to see him remain at Arsenal Football Club. I still think he's a player with bags of potential. He's just a confidence player, someone that needs a run of game, someone that needs to be able to prove their worth. And for me, he needs to move to a Premier League club where he's going to be playing week in, week out. But you look at teams in the Premier League, and maybe aside from clubs like Burnley or whatever, what team is going to regularly play him? It is a worrying time to be Callum Chambers. I think he may have to look to play in Italy or Spain or somewhere at a club that's going to regularly play him week in, week out. But that's for another day. I mean, I don't know a lot about Lucas Perez, the player that Ornstein also confirms that we're close to signing. £17 million. He got 17 goals and 10 assists in the league last season. So, you know, he got better stats than Nolito, who Man City have just signed, but he's 27 years of old. He's 27 years of age. He's coming up to 28 years old. He can certainly do a job for 2 or 3 years. He's not the world-class striker that we've all been crying out for, but you look around the world and world-class strikers are very few and far between. What Perez is going to give us is another option, someone different to Olivier Giroud. If the rumours are true that Danny Welbeck's going to be back by Christmas, then heading into the new year, we've got Perez, Welbeck and Giroud if they all remain fit. And the problem with Giroud hasn't necessarily been his quality. It's the fact that he hasn't had another option at times. And he's essentially having to drag us through the whole season with very little assistance from his peers. So if we can get another 10 goals from Perez this season in the Premier League, if Giroud scores 20 goals in the league, which I know is a big ask, but I think he can certainly do it, and then Alexis Sanchez goes injury-free and say he gets 15 to 20 goals, maybe even 25, then we've got lots of goals in this team. If Theo Walcott can somehow start performing really well, we've got goals from him. If Chamberlain can start performing really well, we've got goals from him. Mesut Ozil, Santi Cazorla, players like this, all contributing to our goals tally. Very exciting and very fluid team that we've got there. But heading into the Watford game, that's where we've got to be claiming 3 points. I mean, it's all well and good that this past few days has gone well. We've had the excellent group stage draw. We've had a few signings on the periphery of arriving at the club. So it's very exciting, but it all comes down to Saturday where we've got to be picking up 3 points to really complement the exciting few days that we've just recently had. Now, Watford's going to be a very tough game. They've started this season. I think they've been playing decent football. They just haven't really got the results to echo that. Really, they just got knocked out of the League Cup at home, unfortunately. So they're not going into this game with the best of spirits. But they also lost not too long ago to Chelsea. They drew 1-1 with Southampton not too long ago. So they are scoring goals. They're playing some good football. Capoue is playing brilliantly for them in the midfield. He's getting on the goal tally himself. But they've got a very good team that they're building, a very exciting team, a very solid team at home. And we did struggle against them last season, and the scoreline did flatter us 3-0 away from home. But for large parts of that game, Watford were the better team. Troy Deeney made it very difficult for us. Deeney and Igalo haven't quite hit the ground running in the way that they did last season, but we are only 2 games in. I would expect those two to link up very well, make life difficult for us in this game. So I'm expecting a very tough game from Watford, and they've also brought in a couple of new signings. Pereira from Juventus is a sensational signing for them, an Argentinian international, very, very exciting player. And I don't know whether he'll make his debut for Watford in this game in the Premier League, but he will be a player that we've got to watch. If he is to start, he certainly can cause our defence problems, especially when we are playing someone as inexperienced as Rob Holding. But he certainly proved himself last week against Leicester City. Holding was absolutely fantastic in that game away from home at the King Power. It'd be very good to get our first win on the board, because we need that confidence boost. And with these new signings imminently coming in, it would give Arsenal fans the boost that we so desperately need. And just relating back to the signings that Watford have brought in, they also brought in Daryl Yamat from Newcastle. Maybe something that's gone a little bit under the light, but I think it's a sturdy option, someone that's going to do well at Watford. And they are building a team that you would hope would improve on where they came last season, because they did start the campaign very well, slipped off a little bit at the end, didn't have a particularly good 2016 under Flores. And I do think that they're going to want to go the distance and finish a lot better than where they did last season in the end, because they have got a team with absolute bags of potential, but it's still a team that we've got to be having the beating of. The Arsenal team that I want to see going into this game is not too different to the one that we saw against Leicester. So I'd go with the same back five: Petr Cech in goal, Hector Bellerin, Rob Holding, Laurent Koscielny and Monreal. That performed very well away from home at the King Power Stadium. In the midfield, I want to see a pivot of Granit Xhaka, and his partner is someone that can be heavily debated. I don't particularly want to see Francis Coquelin start again, because although he composed himself very well after picking up that early yellow card away at Leicester, it is always a worry that he may get sent off, and he is picking up quite a few yellow cards in recent weeks. So I would bring in a cooler head, maybe someone like Mohamed El Nene. But personally, I want to see Jack Wilshere start this game alongside Granit Xhaka. I know that's a very controversial shout. I mean, you could even be saying Santi Cazorla deserves to start ahead of Jack Wilshere. But I think if we start Wilshere, he is going to go out there with a point to prove. He looked very, very eager when he came off the bench last weekend. And for me, he's going to be going into this game. He's got to get over this injury crisis, and he's got to start playing games for us this season. He's certainly a player that's going under the radar, and the more we keep him on the bench, I don't want that to harm his confidence too much, because he is, in my opinion, when fit, one of our best players. So I'd start him in this game alongside Granit Xhaka, see how that midfield pivot performs, and who knows, it could surpass the supposed midfield pivot of Xhaka and Ramsey that is rumoured to be starting throughout the whole of this season. And I do want to see the best from Wilshere with a sturdy partner in Xhaka alongside him. That should work dividends for us. I mean, it's not the most defensive partnership, but I think we'll have that little bit more license to roam away from home at Watford. They're a very good attacking side, but I also think we should win this midfield battle. Xhaka should be providing enough defensive cover to allow someone like Wilshere to play that box-to-box midfield role. Very good passing, very exciting midfield, that. And then just in front of them, I'd go with Oxlade-Chamberlain, Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez. I don't particularly want to see Theo Walcott start this game, if I'm honest. He was... he tried very hard in the game against Leicester, but it's coming to a point now where he is starting to become evidently not that good enough to play in an Arsenal shirt week in, week out. And I really like Theo Walcott as a person. I want to see him do well. He is someone that I think really cares about the club. You could tell that in his celebration when he scored against Liverpool, and I do want to see him kick on. But for me, we need to be doing what's best for the team. And given the way Chamberlain has been performing throughout pre-season, and he's brought that into this season, thankfully, he hasn't really done that in previous years. I remember he was very poor last season in the opening game against West Ham. But whereas this season, he's actually performed very well in all the games that he's played. I thought he was one of our better players against Leicester last campaign. And I know, not campaign, last weekend, sorry. I know a lot of people were somewhat sceptical of his performance, but I thought he was one of our better players on the pitch, had a real driving force, was eager to go forward. The one thing I would say about him is he needs to make more runs off the ball. He is one person that really demands the ball to feet as opposed to making the runs in behind. When he learns that, I'm certainly thinking that we've got a very, very talented player on our hands. And I know we've had him for 5 years now. I remember watching him at home to Shrewsbury Town back in 2011 when he scored a goal. But he's certainly a player that he needs to be developing at 23 years old. So it's a big chance for him to get another game under his belt in a chance where he could potentially score in this game. So I'll start him ahead of Theo Walcott. Bring Walcott on as that impact player, and then we've got players like Mohamed Onene that we can bring on. And up top is a no-brainer for me. We've got to start Olivier Giroud. We need his hold-up play. We need Alexis Sanchez to be making runs off him. That's one of our most exciting things I think we're going to see fielded this season. With the additions of Perez and Mustafi, we've got a very exciting team there. And whether we'll sign a big-name player on top of that, there are a lot of rumours that this so-called madness that I've mentioned in the past is very much on. And we could be looking to spend in excess of 60 million plus in separate funds that we've got for a player of that caliber. So if that was to come off, that'd be a very, very exciting deadline day. But what we're doing is, and what I'm excited about, is we're plugging holes in a team that has needed those holes plugged for a long time. We've got options almost everywhere on the pitch now. And if these players can stay fit, we've got a real chance of going the distance this season, in my opinion. It is going to be incredibly hard when you look at Manchester United, you look at City. And the one thing that separates those teams from us is they've got Ibrahimovic, they've got Aguero. Even Tottenham have got Harry Kane, so they've all got better strikers than us. But with the options we've got, I feel that we are in a position where we're very, very fortunate that we can go to different grounds and we can bring on these players. And we're going to be able to shake up the fences. We're going to be able to rattle teams on a regular basis, and it's good to have these different alternatives in each and every position. One other thing I just wanted to touch on before I ended this video was Joel Campbell's move to Sporting Lisbon. He's come out and made a few comments about the move, saying that he wanted to essentially fight for his place at Arsenal, but he wanted to be playing regularly, which I can totally understand. He's a player that has got absolute bags of quality, and I think it's a very good move for him personally. I think he would have somewhat preferred a permanent deal because I don't know how much game time he's going to get. I still forget how young he is. He's 24 years old, so he's still got the best years ahead of him. And he needs to be getting regular game time because, as we saw from him last season, he can be one of the most exciting players in might be a bit of an exaggeration to say one of the most exciting players in Europe, but he is still a young player that's got a lot of ability and a lot of talent, and he just needs time to prove that, which he wasn't going to get at Arsenal, sadly, because we give more opportunities to the likes of Theo Walcott. And that's not to disrespect Theo Walcott. I certainly hope that he comes through this season, does well at 27 years of age. He really does have to be igniting the Arsenal scene this season. But Joel Campbell, I wish him all the best at Sporting Lisbon, and I wish Arsenal all the best for tomorrow's game at 3 p.m. at Vicarage Road. It should be a difficult game. Watford, as I say, they've started this season well. They've brought in a couple of new additions, but results-wise, they haven't been performing particularly well. They've been playing good football, but the results don't reflect that, and we've got to be taking advantage of that whilst they're not necessarily in the best of spirits. I hope the team that I've mentioned is going to go out there and get the result that we so desperately need. It would be so uplifting to have a 2 or 3-0 win away from home, which I don't think it's too much to ask away from home at Watford for Arsenal Football Club. And then we bring in these players that we need in the names of Mustafi, Perez, and maybe even a potential madness. But anyway, guys, that's been my thoughts heading into the game tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. at Vicarage Road. Let me know your thoughts in the comments box below. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Arsenal. Get your score predictions in the comments box below. Please do like the video if you have enjoyed it. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in this morning. Sorry for making you get up so early, but I thought I'd do it this morning just to get it out there nice and early. Anyway, like I say, drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and as always, I'll be speaking to you very, very soon.